first day of class, I was going through the roll and I saw there was a young man named Ralph Norman. I said, he said, yeah, that's my granddad. And so, it goes by Ren, but, he said, he'll come in and speak, and finally was able to get a date together, and, we're really excited to have our representative, Mr. Ralph Norman, who's a local businessman, very successful, and has now decided to move into another realm and into public service. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Ralph Norman up. Also, we're going to do, he's going to do a presentation speech, and then we'll open it up for questions. So be thinking of questions as we go, okay? All right, thank you.
Eric, thank you so much. Y'all, I appreciate y'all coming. I always enjoy speaking to students all over. I'm a graduate of Rock Hill High. How many of you know where I graduated from, where the previous Rock Hill High was? I know, buddy. Which one? Let's see. Who else? Who knows? Yes, sir. Sullivan. Come up here for a minute. Anybody that answers a question gets a coin. Don't bite into it because it's not chocolate. This has got our state seal on it. And good catch. Let me start out with, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, why I got in politics. Secondly, if I were where you are now, what I would want to know, or I guess what I would like to, focus on more. And then questions and answers. There are no stupid questions. The only dumb question is the one you don't ask. Anything's open for me, and so feel free to ask any question at the end. I would also like to take a picture to remember this by. I'll send you an 8x10. It's got our congressional seal at the end. So, but I got into politics. I'm a real estate developer. I'm from Rock Hill. Went to the public schools, graduated, went to Presbyterian College. Have 4 children, and I've got 16 grandchildren. Ren, stand up. He's my oldest, my second oldest grandson. And I got after college, went with our family-owned company. We built houses. We did a lot of work at the Galleria Mall. And I have always enjoyed politics because you get to meet a lot of great people. Over the years, Buddy DeVinny, we've interacted with him. Great guy with the police force. But everybody that we met, I've enjoyed. And politics gives you a chance to meet even more. I actually got into it because I was tired of regulations, and I decided to run for office. Governor Haley and I came into the state legislature at the same time, and spent some time in the legislature. And then when this opened up, when I took Mick Mulvaney's slot. One thing I will tell you, everybody is in politics, including you. How many agree with that statement? You know why? How many of you have had summer jobs? Have you noticed when you got a check, the top amount is different than the bottom amount? They kind of subtract some things. That's politics. I see a lot of your coaches and teachers here, ask them the amount of paperwork that they have to do that is basically politics. It comes from different areas, but that's why we're all in politics. Each of you vote every day of the week. How many of you agree with that statement? You know why? You vote on the type shoes you want. You pick the clothes that you want. You choose. And folks, that's why I'm in politics. I want you to have those God-given rights to choose. I want you to have as much money in your pockets as you can, because government, I'm not a big government guy. I ran for office to cut government. We need it for bare essentials, but what I'm for is to pass meaningful legislation, but get rid of those that aren't meaningful. And I don't care what line of work you're in, we're all affected by the political system. What would I say if I were in your shoes? What would I ask? The number one question that people ask me now is Congressman, why can't you seem to get together? You've got your Democrat and you've got your Republican. I'm a Republican. And they ask me, why can't you get together? Y'all, it seems like you're so polarized, and it is. But let me, the way I describe it is this. It's like getting on I-77. One person wants to go to Charlotte, one person wants to go to Columbia. You got to have a meeting of the minds. And let me give you some examples. And there's nothing wrong with different opinions. The abortion issue, which is top and center stage in the discussion all across this country now. I do not agree with abortion. We've got those that do agree with abortion. The border wall. I agree with building a border wall. There are those who just have opposite, just do not want to agree, do not think a wall works. And let me tell you an interesting conversation I had with a guy who was totally against it. Y'all will all know him because he's well known in the area. He went to the Clemson, Alabama game. Got back, and he had called me, and I said, "How was the game?" He said, "Good." I said, "Did you get in?" He said, "I got in, had tickets." I said, "Was there any barrier around it?" And then he kind of got where I was going. I said, "No, it wasn't." He said, "Well, it wasn't a concrete barrier." I said, "I get that, but it was a barrier around the stadium in California that he couldn't just walk, he couldn't walk in." And my question was, if fences don't work, if walls don't work, how would you feel if somebody just walked in, took your seats? He said, "I wouldn't like it." And so that's the argument that I've always felt, that we've got to be a nation of borders. I'm for immigration, but it's got to be legal immigration. And just like you wouldn't want somebody taking your tickets for a game, walls work. And I noticed when I came in Rock Hill High this morning, we had to walk around. You want people here who have no evil intent for each one of you. I will tell you that the second thing I would say that people ask me is, what should I focus on? And I'll give you two things. Find your God-given talent. Each one of you has a talent. You're unique individuals. You have a talent. Find out what that is. And I will tell you that I had a person that found jobs for people in Rock Hill. In other words, he got paid a salary. If you were in the job hunt, he would figure out who fit in Rock Hill. And I said, "Well, how do you know that?" And I'll never forget what he told me. He said, "I've got the easiest job in the world." The number one question he asked, "What does a person read in their spare time?" And think about that. What do you read? That means what you're interested in. And then if you don't read that much, what do you like to do? I'm in the real estate business. We build houses. Some of the best carpenters I've ever had are people who they love it. They never go to work. Never considered it's never a work for them. It's easy because they love it. We have an art competition that some students here at Rock Hill High entered. They love painting. So do what your God-given talent is, because it's every one of you have it. Second, I will tell you, you're going to have setbacks, drawbacks. All of us do. And I want to recognize somebody. I've never met him up until today, but I want to recognize somebody who, when I opened the paper up Saturday, he's a person who had setbacks, but he overcame them. Devin, come up here, son. Devin Rice. This is, if you haven't read this article, Coach, I'm sure you have. Can you come up here too? I've got something for you. Devin started, came to Rock Hill High as a junior. And he went out for the football team, and he hadn't even wrestled. He is the state champion wrestler now. And how many people, he's adopted, as I'm not telling you anything that's not in here, he's adopted, wants to find his mother. And somebody that knew no limitations, he made it a positive for him. How many people get a front page article like this? But it's such an inspiration. And I was telling Mr. Devaney, we were talking, he said, you know, he's equally as proud, because he said, you could have gone a number of different ways. He took the right path. So I just want to give you this. And Coach, let me give you something. This guy took over coaching, he took over for a coaching legend. And the record has continued. And I just admire what you've done here. It's special. I mean, how many people can come into here and do what you've done? Here's our congressional seal. We don't give those out this much. Wanted to give one to Coach.
Thank you, sir.
Devin, let me give you one. I knew I had this one. But it's got a congressional seal, and it's special. So congratulations. And I told him, I said, where do you want to go to college? He said, Newberry. I said, let me help you. We know a lot of the coaches. My son-in-law's father played football there. And your future is great. So we'll help you in any way. Congratulations. And let me say the third thing I would advise you to do. You've got one body, you've got one mind. You need to guard it. You need to protect your body. I don't have to tell you that drugs are rampant today. I wish y'all could. And don't tell me marijuana is not addictive. Don't tell me it's not a gateway drug. I've been through college. I know what it does. And I wish you could have had and Coach, you know this particular boy I'm talking about. He's dead now. He was a state championship wrestler, great football player, one of the smartest boys I met. And he was working one day when he was clean. I said, tell me about drugs. And he said, Ralph, he said, think of whatever pleasure you have, multiply times 1,000, that's drugs. Cocaine was the one he was hooked on. And I'll never forget that. Whatever pleasure you have, multiply times 1,000, that's what drugs are. And don't tell me you can get off of them, because the graveyards are full of people who could not get off of them. And don't think money's going to make you happy. Elvis Presley had all the money in the world. He could have gone to any drug treatment. He's in the grave. Whitney Houston, the greatest singer I've known, she's in the grave. Could she have hired whatever she wanted to cure her from drugs? Yes. Robin Williams, the funniest man on the planet, he could have hired anybody to get him. So if you go down that path, just remember what the outcome will most likely be, because it's not a pretty sight. When I think of Devin, I think about a guy that I tell this to a lot of audiences who I met when I was getting a physical. Huge guy. He walked up on crutches, no legs. He sat down. He had a great laugh. I'd never seen this guy before. I said, what do you do? He said, what do you think I do? I said, I don't know. He says, I am a traveling book salesman. And then he looked at me and he said, who's going to turn me down? He dragged the books behind him, went door to door. How many people, it's kind of like Devin, your situation in a different way. He had a physical limitation, no legs. But he had found that niche, and he was a great talker. He smiled, just like the first thing I noticed on Devin's picture, he was smiling. This guy walked in the Mayo Clinic, smiled, and he said, who's going to turn me down? He said, I love to go when it's hot. I love to go when it's raining. He said, and his card, which I've got on my desk today, and I think this was like 20 years ago. There's no difference on his card. There's no difference in the person who does not read and the person who cannot read. And there's no difference in the person who does not read and the person who cannot read. So apply yourself. You have no limitations. If there was ever a limitation that could have stopped Andy, it would have been no legs, but he used it to his advantage. So that's what I would leave you with, to use this to your advantage. Anything you have, use it to your advantage, as Devin has done and as Andy has done and so many other people have done over the years. Okay, I would love to open this up for questions. And yes, sir, stand up, tell me your name and your question. The war?
No, sir, not the war.
Oh, with the president? No, I did not. The president went, you know why they went to Vietnam? To show you how lucky we are in this country. The North Korean president rode a train. They did not have an airplane that could go that far. This president traveled 8,000 miles. And the North Korean, who is a dictator, took a train going 37 miles per hour. What shows you the ingenuity and the advancement this country has. Come get your coin. What else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I just wanted to ask you, earlier in your speech, you said that in guidance to politics, you were tired of regulations, and we know that you're a businessman. I just wanted to know what kinds of regulations apply to you, and why you want to get rid of them, or why you're tired of them.
Let me give you a good example. Both my sisters were teachers. And ask any teacher at Rock Hill High to tell you the regulations, the paperwork they're having to fill out. In my particular case, we had some regulations with the building code that I didn't think made sense. Some were local and some were national. So I said the best way for me to change that is put my name on the line and run for office. And I found it to be a real, you see what's going on, you see everything that needs to be cut. And there's some that you need to add. But ask any teacher, the teachers are having a tough time. They're asked to be teachers, guidance counselors, you name it. And so that's just a few of them that I faced. And as I see it in Congress, I will not pass legislation, unfunded mandates. In other words, legislation that makes people abide by it and not offer a way to fund it. And by the way, I'm a strong believer in term limits. We ought to get politicians out. I've got a bill up. I shouldn't go up there and just live forever. I ought to have to come home, live under some of these rules that are being made. There was a guy that died that had 60 years in politics. That's too long. You lose your effectiveness. I'm 31. 60 more years, I'll be 91. If that's the case. Come back. Let me get you a coin. Yeah. Oh, hey, they move. Yeah. All right. What else? Yes, ma'am. Socialism. You know, to get a glimpse of socialism, look at Venezuela. It never works. Look at Cuba. The one thing I'm scared of now is the move towards socialism, because we are the government. There is a group that I'm convinced of that wants to control this country. And the capitalistic system, the ability for, I want all of y'all to make as much money as you can legally. So I'm totally against socialism. And it's being taught in the universities all around this country. Charlie Kirk is fighting that tooth and nail, and I am too. Socialism has never worked. But dictators don't work. I get this, and I told a group this the other day. I'm for free medicine. The only caveat, you get that doctor to work for free. Get him to work for free. I'm for free education. You get that tenured professor to work for free. Everything has a cost to it. And incentives. What if I took the highest grades here and gave them to somebody that didn't make the high grades? In other words, you work for what you have. And this country was made great because of individuals who are willing to go to work. And what's being proposed now is scary. I'm glad I'm up there because we're fighting tooth and nail. And look at the results of North Korea. He doesn't even have a plane that can fly. I think it's like 800 miles. He has to take a train. That's socialism. The top view, and it doesn't work. Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right. So how do you think America kind of leaned towards socialism about, 70 to 100 years after the rest of Europe?
How do I think how do I think Americans feel about socialism? And am I asking that right?
Let me reword it. How do you think America came to socialism about 70 to 100 years after the rest of Europe went through their socialist and dictatorship?
Well, we've resisted it here. Now, it's gradually gotten so that it's being discussed now. But we've resisted, and I hope we continue to resist it. It's not a system that works. Capitalism is the greatest system around. Now, you have winners and losers. What if he wasn't able to win his match? If Devin wasn't? I mean, you have winners and losers in the capitalistic system. That's a good thing. It makes us strive. I don't know what made him, and I'm going to show you a demonstration in just a minute, but something inside him made him come to Rock Hill High and participate. He had the drive. And that's what we can't kill in this country. We've got to have the drive and the incentive to be what our God-given talent says we can be. And that's what I'm protecting. Yes, sir, in the yellow.
Alright, so in your speech you said that you believe in a bare necessity of government. I want to know what you believe are some of those bare necessities of the government are.
Good question. What do I think the bare necessities of government? The bare necessities are infrastructure, roads, water, sewer. Secondly, we take care of our disabled. We take care of our veterans. And education is not a right. There's a cost to it. And you've got to earn that right to go to school. You pay for that. This free medical care, again, I'm for it if you can get everybody to work for free. It doesn't work that way. How much would each of you enjoy going to work when you get paid anything? It doesn't work. You got to have that incentive. That's just a few of them. Protecting this great country through our national defense with our veterans. That's what we ought to fund. Veterans are some of the most underfunded people that I know. I met some Navy SEALs. Great people. I spoke at the Naval Academy a week or so ago. And great people. They love the country. And it's not because of the money. That's what it gets back to. That's their God-given talent. And that's what their drive to do is. Great question. Yes, ma'am. Great question. Is the real estate business politics tied together? They are in this sense. Real estate, you get to meet a lot of people. In politics, you get to meet a lot of people. So that's the way they're tied together. And some of the laws that are passed are things that affect the real estate business. They affect education. They affect teachers and a lot of things. Yes, sir. The reason the government shutdown happened was, not the drugs that are coming across the country, open borders, are costing this country $50 billion a year. He was just trying to get since they wouldn't fund it, he just said, unless we fund it, let's have a vote on it. Let's bring it up for a vote. And the government shut down. I didn't know. Some people, particularly the Border Patrol agents, didn't get paid, which wasn't right. But it ended well, and we're going to build the wall one way or another. Who else stood up? Yes, sir. With a white headband. Right here. My biggest goal? I want to get people who are living off the government in politics, get them out, let them live under it. I want to make it so you can keep more of your money. I want to support our military. Every vote I do, every vote I have is to support our men and women who defend this country. And I want to keep the incentives going. That's where the socialistic question my blood runs cold when I hear that. Because if you want to kill the great system, then give people notice in it to go to work. And I tell you what I've enjoyed about this job, you get to help a lot of people. Back of my card, you've got all of our numbers. By the way, I've got Colonel O'Neill is our district director. He's a retired paratrooper. Where's Austin? Austin Livingston's former airline pilot. He's with me. And Michael Neese. Where's Michael? We handle a lot of different things for people. DD-214s if you're in the military. Medicare payments that they hadn't received. Do y'all know licenses, driver's license, if you don't get them updated by 2020, you've got a problem. If you go out of the, if you catch an airplane, you've got a problem. So that's the kind of things I enjoy helping. And Congress gives you that right, that opportunity to do that. Yes, sir, at the very back. Stand up.
What's your stance on sorry, I can't speak for some reason. What's your stance on net neutrality?
What's my position on net neutrality?
Yeah.
Net neutrality, the bottom line is the regulation of the internet. It was under the Federal Trade Commission, and it was a move to put it under the FCC. And I don't think they're trying to tax the internet now, which I'm directly opposed to. It doesn't cost me a dime to go to send an email. Now it costs you to get the phone to be able to send it to the computer. But we're having that battle right now. I had a met at the church in Indianland where we had all the officials from Washington to discuss both sides of it. Y'all seen what's happening with Facebook? Throttling messages, in other words, we've had testimonies on that has to do with the net neutrality. Google, throttling messages back is not right. You'll hear more on net neutrality in the coming months and weeks. It's just other things that are taking precedence now. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Ashley. I was wondering, since we are in health class, I was wondering if you've ever occurred any issues with self-esteem or anything like that in your career, because it's a trial career, and I just wanted to know if you've ever faced any of those issues,
David, repeat what she said.
Has he ever had any self-esteem issues?
or just any
Yeah, you self-esteem issues.
motivational.
Oh, having self-esteem issues. Yeah, I had self-esteem issues, and people they say bad things about politicians. No, because I really don't care. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm content with my votes, the bad articles. I know what I do. When I face myself in the mirror, you have to tell yourself the truth. You can't fool yourself. So I've never had any self-esteem issues with that. The people that jump on me the most, I love debating them on different issues, because now when he crosses the line, I don't put up with it. But I had an interesting call the other day. How many of you have heard of the governor of Virginia? His name is Ralph Northam. Northam. I can't tell you the calls I've gotten. And people I know said, "You ought to resign. You're worthless." I said, "Resign for what? You're for infanticide, killing babies." I said, "No, I'm not." I said, "Do you know, what's my first name?" "Ralph." I said, "Do you know my last name?" "Northam." I said, "No, it's Norman." So you get things like that all the time, which are kind of funny. But no, I don't, it bounces off of me. I mean, I know what I do, and I'm content. Now, have I always made the right calls? No. But at the time, I did what I thought was right. Okay, I've been to the wall. The question is why I agree with the wall. The same reason I agree to keep Rock Hill High students safe. You've got a wall out here. The same reason I tell people who disagree with me, take the locks off your car. Take the locks off your house if you don't agree with it. The drugs, if you can see the cartels that are coming, they got film of the backpacks that are carrying, they're not carrying Girl Scout cookies. They're carrying fentanyl, cocaine. And if you could see the rape trees, I feel sorry for for the women coming across the border. You have a point of entry for everything. And to keep our country safe, we've got to have it. I'll debate that issue all day long because it's in my mind, it's not even a question. Yes, sir.
So Scandinavia has a high standard of living because of their socialism. So
Has a higher what?
standard of living
Okay.
because of their socialism. So why would you be against socialism if it would really benefit our standard of living?
Good question. Why would Scandinavia has a high standard of living, why would I be against socialism? It hasn't been a country like America in the history of countries. We've reached the highest standard of living. Scandinavia is way down compared to the United States. It's not even close. But to get even more basic than that, I want all of you to have as much as you can have legally. I want you to enjoy your God-given, find your God-given talent, and be able to achieve what you want in life. That's your freedom, is what I'm fighting for. And socialism does not give you freedom. Now the top class has all the power. I'm totally and I'll look up Scandinavia, the countries there. Look at Venezuela. They used to be one of the most richest countries in America, in the country. Not now. They've got a riot going on. Cuba, dictatorship. It always leads to dictatorships, and that's the whole purpose of it. Totally against it. Yes, ma'am. Stand up. Okay. Yes, ma'am. I have a large family. How do I balance it? I did not get into politics until my children were raised. You can't be two places. I see more politicians who have got train wrecks for family lives. They chose to get into it. When my 4 children were growing up, I wanted to go to the football games. I wanted to go to the soccer matches. You can't do that if you're in politics. I waited until they were grown. Now I have the opportunity to take my grandchildren to Washington, and I would invite each of you to come. Let us show you what your tax dollars, your parents' tax dollars have built. But it's a great treasure for people to see. But I stayed at home and decided, and that's not for everybody, because a lot of people there that I serve with have young children. But you can only be in one place at one time. Yes, ma'am. Keep standing up in the back. Would you go ahead?
Throughout your career, you discussed your view on gun violence. How do you plan to better protect citizens and students during gun violence?
Great question. How do I protect, what I think about gun violence, how do you protect people? One thing, guns don't kill people. People kill people. A pencil doesn't give you a good grade or a bad grade. People kill people, and just like each one of you have grades. I believe in the Second Amendment. You have a right to bear arms. Ask Mr. Devaney here. He's a former police officer. The bad people are going to get the guns anyway. You think they go through a background check? No. I've got a concealed weapons permit. I'm proud to say I carry a gun. I don't have it now because you can't have them in schools, but I carry a gun with me everywhere because I'm not going to be a victim. And I think, having guns, good people who are law-abiding citizens need to have guns. I've got, again, my concealed weapons permit. Y'all know what's outside there. Some of you more than others. It's a violent world. All right, we have 15 minutes. Let me answer a few more questions. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, in the blue sweater. Oh, I'm sorry. No, ma'am, you were standing up. Go ahead.
My first question, how do you believe that our First Amendment right is being protected today?
First Amendment right is being protected today?
First Amendment.
How do you believe the First Amendment right is being protected today?
Well, it's being stifled because you can't go on certain college campuses. Freedom of speech. Everybody ought to have a freedom of speech. And just because you're a conservative or a liberal. You ought to be able to say what you, to express that right. That's what's made America great. That's where socialism stifles those who have an opinion. And so I protect the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the whole Constitution. It's if you read the Constitution, I urge you to read it. It's a miracle how it came into be in 10th Amendment, states' rights. I believe in local government. We know what we need to do in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And the federal government exists because of the states' rights. And I'll protect the First Amendment as well as all the amendments. Okay, a few more. Yes, sir.
I was wondering if you were talking about the law, you wanted to keep the work on the out. But for Cubans, they actually have the wet dry policy. So you can either go to war around the ocean because Cubans are known to work for the cocaine.
Do I think you ought to build the wall around the ocean?
They're saying that you want to go to war and stuff and work on terrorism.
No, you've got a 2,000-mile border. His question was, do I think drugs come in the ocean? They do, but you can't swim that far. It's harder to get to. If you want to swim the ocean, even the SEALs can't do the swimming they would have to do to get here. No, the 2,000-mile border around in the southern border is what we saw. And Mexico, that's where the things are coming in y'all seen the caravans. They're coming in. That's why I think it's a national emergency to get it built. All of a sudden, we've got everybody flooding in here. And the sad part about it is, I want to take care of Americans. And if you're going to get here, if you want to come to this country and take part of free education and free all the other programs we have, then you ought to have to come in here legally. Yes, ma'am. All of it's coming from that. Where is the drugs coming from? All over. She's asked a very good question. What about Canada? What about it's easy to come in a lot of different places. This stairway, you start with one step to reach the top. We get the southern border closed, and my information comes from the people who are patrolling it. They will tell us, Guatemala, we're getting a lot of drugs. Mexico, we're getting a lot of drugs. All the countries that, Venezuela, we're getting drugs. South America, we get drugs. It's documented. But the first step is to get that border covered, and then we can, like the ocean, I'm sure there are things coming across the ocean, but not quite as much. All right, one last question. Yes, sir.
At the beginning of this, you kind of said that you were for people, and the reason that you got in politics was to help the general public. Is there any other reason that you got into politics, and are there other reasons that you see people getting into politics?
Oh yeah, I got into it, and all of us, there's as many different reasons people get in politics. Mine just happened to be, I was tired of some regulations, and I've always enjoyed people. I thought I could make a difference. I had the time after my children were raised, and so that's why I did it. But no, a lot of people get into it. A lot of people want to affect national policy. They want to have the votes and have a seat at the table. So everybody's got different reasons. And again, we're all in politics. We just in it at different levels. Mine happens to be a real public. You're out there in the public, which is fine with me. But no, it's a calling, I think. You can't do this, you're away from home, it costs you money, but this country's been too good. This country's great, and I want to make it even greater. And I've seen it steer off, and I'm willing to put my time to it, as well as a lot of other good people. Thank you. Let me ask y'all something. What is this? What's this doing? Shines a light, doesn't it? Same flashlight, same color. What happened? What's the difference? Same material. It's what's inside. It's what's inside Devin that made him reach the pinnacle of the wrestling career. It's what's inside the coach to make him come to work and make such a difference in the lives of people. It doesn't have anything to do with the way it looks. You've got one that's perfectly outside. You would say the same thing. Same thing with you, boys and girls. It's what's inside. And always remember that. It's not what you have. It's not what you start out with. Look at what Devin started out with. Look at what he's achieved and going to achieve. And before I forget, let me tell you, I've seen more things on this phone through Twitter, through Snapchat. Here's what I would caution you on. Unless those of you here have nobody that doesn't like you, this is going to come back to bite a lot of people. I tell all my grandchildren, don't put something on here that you think you don't want to see later on, because it will come up. I don't care whether it's a job interview, whether it's on a college application. You put it on here, you've opened it to the world. And I can promise you there's some people that may not like you. I've got a lot of people that do not like me. And once you open this up, folks, it's kind of like the drug issue. Realize what you're getting into. You put something on here, you're going to see it 5 or 10 years, because there's people out there, and I've seen it over and over again. The people make a lot of money on taking a picture of what's on here. You think you erase it? No, sir, you don't. This is on here forever. Y'all been a great audience. I'd love to have a picture with you if any of you want to. Y'all use our office, and you're the future. You're going to be the next one standing up in Congress and in local politics. So thank you for being here.